Why does he mute everything?
Hello.
He mutes everything before he leaves.
Well, you're supposed to.
Not me and you.
Yeah.
Oh, well. What do I know? Nothing. I know nothing. Welcome, everybody. Today's going to be a great stream because Chris isn't here.
Hello. Can you hear us? Can they hear us?
Yeah, they can hear us.
Okay. The desktop audio is still muted. Is it supposed to be?
Yeah, desktop would be like if I changed, like if I played a video.
Computer stuff.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Gabe stream. Look
Gabe
at Gabe.
stream.
That's Gabe.
I'm painting today.
No, you're not.
Oh, wait. What?
Well, nobody's painting
I
right
thought
this minute.
you were producing and I was painting.
I'm painting, you're producing. This is, see this? This is the paint area.
Got it.
See that?
Yeah.
That? This is me squishing your head. That's the producing area.
Boop. So
that's where the producing happens.
Chat, you'll have to bear with me. I have so many buttons here that Chris says are non-digital and all real fully, which I don't know what that means because
those are digital.
These are digital.
Yeah. Chris is a liar.
Chris is a liar.
He pretty much lies.
He's a dirty liar.
Chris is a filthy liar. Dirty, filthy liar.
Yeah. He told me...
I have good hair. Look at that. Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. That's like crazy uncle hair.
Mine's just flat.
We have good crazy uncle hair right now. Push all the buttons at once, says some palette. I don't recommend that. That's like crossing the streams.
Oh, I didn't do anything. Didn't like that.
Oh, Jesus.
That's loud.
That's loud. Give me some paint screen. Chump.
Paint screen. There we go.
Boyo. What's going on, everybody?
I need to do that because you're using what Chris told me is that when you're using the palette, it must be on. When you're airbrushing, I don't need it.
Right. I'm not airbrushing.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I know the difference. After all these years, the dementia has not quite set in yet. They keep telling me it's coming. The old-timers disease.
The old-timers disease.
I'm about to get old-timers. I might get old-timers today, guys.
Don't abuse the soundboard. You don't even know what that means. It's going to be rough in here, guys. So many noises.
He's been looking forward to this all day. He's been acting weird. Dave's been acting weird.
He does have a big red button that says "Do not push." It's right here. I'm touching it. Just kidding. He does not. Lord Bizd Killington.
I have a big, large red button. It says Chris, you're fired.
It's true. If we play that, though, it doesn't affect me, right?
Correct. As a matter of fact, that is actually Chris, you're fired.
Great.
But there's no Gabe, you're fired.
No, there's no Gabe, you're fired. Airbrush like air guitar.
How does that make you feel?
Bad.
It makes you feel bad that I can't fire you?
Makes me feel bad.
You want to be fired?
No.
I don't understand, Gabe. I thought you loved me.
We got Jesus in the chat.
Jesus?
Jesus said push it.
I did.
I think you need to. Chris is fired.
I fired Chris. Chris isn't even here.
Yep.
And I fired him.
Chris is fired. He's been fired. He's fired twice. From you and from me.
You can't fire Chris.
I'll fire Chris.
Technically, you could fire Chris. Technically.
I'd probably get in a
We
lot.
haven't ever crossed that line at Monument Hobbies. Thank God we have a really good crew. So we haven't had to fire very many people.
Yep. I don't think we've
over the years.
Yeah.
But technically, I think Gabe could fire Chris.
I could, but I feel like very quickly he would become unfired and then refired again.
It's kind of the Chrisism.
Yeah.
Chris is like, you're like, Chris, you're fired.
Fired.
And then you think about it, maybe I was a little harsh. And then 5 minutes later, nope.
No.
I was right the first time.
Yep. He needs to be fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
Poor Chris. He's not even here.
I bet you he is.
Can you step us one in?
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Lord Bzz.
Perfecto.
Bzz.
Lord Bzz.
Bzz.
The Lord of the Bzz.
Bzz. Is Twitch messed up for anyone else? No, just you.
Twitch? What do you mean by messed up?
Just you.
When you say messed up,
Do you mean messed
like,
up
man, I'm gonna mess you up.
or messed up? This Twitch is definitely messed up. Been a lot of big outrages with unfair rulings against streamers lately.
What from Amazon ran streaming service?
Who would know?
Dang, who would have thunk it?
You mean they don't treat everybody equally?
Chris is the kind of guy who will keep working even without a paycheck. This is true.
Where's my stapler? My red stapler.
Did you use dry brush for the eyes? No. Yeah. Airbrush on 3 streams ago.
That was Tuesday. 2
streams ago.
Tuesday we got some mesh fabric from a fabric store down the street, and wrapped the mesh fabric on the model and airbrushed through the mesh openings to get the texture on there. Just a neat, quick way to generate the pattern, and then I'll freehand all of the color and details on them. But it gives me a good starting point that is very hard to get to with that kind of texturing, because there's the sculpt itself is very smooth. So we bought some mesh fabric, and I just used some silly putty to connect it to one part of the model.
I love that you had such a big piece of the fabric and you cut a little tiny.
I have a yard. I had to buy this much.
I didn't mean to derail you there, but
I had to buy this much.
So funny.
If we can all get together and just tell Lucas to let us know who all he sells Lord BZZZT to, and then we'll cut a square, and we'll send a square of fabric to everyone, and I think we got you. Because I cut my square a little too big.
Sorry, continue.
Oh, thank you.
You may continue.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
It already feels like Chris. Damn. Hoping there'd be a reprieve from this.
It's almost like we hang out all the time, and
you're the same person?
We slowly blend into the same person.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Except you're more positive about video games.
This is true. I'm too positive for my own good.
You're more pleasant to talk to about video games than Christopher is.
Yeah.
Christopher's a big ninny.
He is a ninny. He is. You know what he told me yesterday? You know what he told me yesterday?
He told you you're a beautiful individual. Thank you, Gabe, for supporting my work while I'm gone.
He would never say that to me.
No, he didn't say that?
He did not say that.
I was hoping he would say that.
I found a new game to play.
I want to tell you something before you go on this long journey you're about to take us on.
Yep.
Yesterday when I left the office, I applauded Chris wholeheartedly. I said, Christopher, I want you to know I hope you have a wonderful vacation. I hope you have fun with your family. It's a much-deserved break that you're getting. I really appreciate you and all the hard work you do. And you know what he said?
You're welcome.
He said, yep. That's what he said. He said, yep.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds like Chris.
I was like, that's Chris. I'm trying to be thoughtful, trying to step outside the normal boss interactions here.
I think he was on that, like, I'm ready to go.
He wasn't. He was here after I was. After I left.
That's because he wanted to finish some stuff. I convinced him not to edit some videos before he left. I said, that's why we have other people to do that for you.
Yes.
We can do that, Chris. You do not need to stay late and edit.
We hired another video editor.
so we got that out of him at least. We do have a question, Artemis Bain. Would using a Payne's Gray wash or filter over my zombie pirates give them the feel of being underwater? Or how would I do that?
To give them the feel of being underwater, the first thing that jumps to my head, I'm going to give you a very reactionary answer on this one. The first thing I would do if I were painting something that was intended to be underwater is I would probably go very monochromatic with my color schemes. And in that kind of, I mean, if you really want to get it across, blues, right? Even though water isn't blue, but you would do it in kind of the blues. And then glaze slight batches of color into areas where I wanted color, so it's really desaturated, right? Because when you're underwater, the colors don't register as bright and vibrant. So you're almost doing it wrong to get the idea across. Because I think if you just put a wash on them, maybe the Payne's Gray is going to be pretty dark. So I don't know. That's a tough one. It's not something I do. I think blue, greens, Dark Sea Ben, those kind of colors give you a more watery feel, but it would have to be inclusive on the base and everything else. Like if you're doing like underwater plants or things like that, they would need to be in that same color. It's really hard to paint things where everything has a different color, like like a normal model. Like if we just paint a normal dude, give me the painting top. If we're just painting a normal dude, how do you make this guy look like he's underwater? Bad example because he's blue already. But I mean, like if this guy was riding his horse underwater, what do we need to be doing to pull that off? It's very hard. I think that it's easier for you to reduce your color palette into those kind of sea colors, blues, greens, really desaturated color palette, and then put things on the base that feel like the ocean floor and stuff like that.
Well, what's happening? We got no Chris today.
Monochromatic painting would be my gut response there. If you already have your pirates painted and now you're wanting to alter that paint to look like it's under the water, that's more difficult because the wash itself isn't going to, I think, pull that off. But if you have one you could test it on, it's worth a try. Probably not the answer you want, but that's where my gut instinct takes me on that one.
Papa Chicken, that's right. You guys been bugging Chris forever, and I finally show up and bring you a face cam.
Hey, Gabe.
Yep.
What does it sound like when you pop a chicken?
I know there's an answer to this, and I don't remember what it is because you said it yesterday while I was here.
You're thinking too hard, Gabe. You're just thinking too hard.
I know. There's an answer.
Don't put that much effort into it.
I know there's a funny answer.
Well, there really wasn't. It's the question that's funny.
It's just the question?
Yeah. He'll get it, Chad.
I see.
I've
got lots to learn.
He'll get it, Chad.
I'll figure it out. By day 3, we'll figure it out. That's right. You've got me for 3 days, Chad. I will be here.
Thursday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Thursday, Monday, Tuesday. You're stuck with me. And
I don't have to stream tomorrow. This is kind of weird for me because I will be at the office all day.
Yeah.
Right? Or is it a day where I choose to work from home since there's no stream?
I think you should do that.
You think?
I think so.
I think Jen will be mad because Jen works from home on Tuesdays, Thursdays. So if I work from home on Friday, it's like I'm avoiding her.
I think she would be ecstatic.
There was a day where that happened already because it was just one of those. The only days I take off, chat, are the days, and I don't really take them off. I work from home. But the only days that I've done that are a handful where for some reason my schedule doesn't have anything on it. And my schedule tomorrow has stuff on it, so I probably have to be here. But
I mean, if they're meetings online, then
that could be too.
Online meetings.
That could be too.
To be fair, all of us have the ability to do an online meeting, Jason.
But there was one day where I had nothing going on. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to take the day off. And Jen just kind of looked at me and I didn't get it. And then I was like,
oh, wait.
This isn't the day that you're off.
Yeah.
But then she works at home without me all the time. So that's not fair.
It's fair. Mo, efficiency has already increased. You're right. And it will slowly decrease as I move into madness.
You're going on the descent to madness?
Yes.
Okay. Already, is it started already?
It has.
Okay,
I'm sitting in the aura of Chris left. It's like the big evil guy that just leaves his energy in places.
So is there a way to prevent this? Like, can I save you, or are you just
I think I'm done.
Repair.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done, chat.
Okay.
Who does that sound like?
Chris.
I hear all the voices.
This is the end. This is my last day. That's what Chris always says.
There was a Chris cam all along. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to out Chris. It's been sitting here. He needed to set it up, but we've had one. What a goober.
Chris is the reluctant hero. He pushes back so hard, and then when you turn the camera on, he came alive, like that theater kid.
I know, he's so funny.
Who is like lost the image for a minute, and then gets the chance again in his older age, and he's like, I could have been a star. That was Chris yesterday.
Jen in the house.
Jen in the house.
I like it when we both work at home, but you can't spring it on me the last minute. I have stuff scheduled in the office tomorrow.
Well, babe.
So Blaine, do you have any videos about how to do that armor?
The whole video. It was Monday we did it. The whole stream on Monday.
So you can.
It was very quick. I didn't spend a tremendous amount of time. The big talking points that I used were the blocking in, deciding where highlights wanted to go, and then we talked a little bit about blending it. But it all happened on the live stream on Monday. Chris and I were bantering back and forth while it was going. I was the only one doing any real work. But yeah, we painted it all up on Monday, so you can see every brush stroke as it happens. But this was really just a quick placement of light and reflection. The colors I use is I started with a base of dark plum. You'll see a little bit of a reddish shadow there. So it was dark plum as the base for all of the metal. And then over the top of the dark plum, I did Payne's Gray, right? And really thin at first. And then over the Payne's Gray, I started mixing in bright pale yellow. So it's really the steel look that you're getting is all Payne's Gray and bright pale yellow. That's what all this is. And then for the final, like when I say final, but where I did the brightest spots on here was done with bright neutral gray to get rid of a little bit of the warmth. So I can cool off the direct light, but then have a warmer reflection around it where the Payne's Gray and the bright pale yellow were. So pretty fast, actually. We'll be doing more environmental reflection in it as we go once I get the clothing set in all of its coloration. I hadn't determined at the point where I was doing the armor what colors I was going to do on all his sleeves and such, but there will be some violets and purples reflected back in there because the clothes are so close to the armor with this fat little belly and puffy sleeves. Gives you a good opportunity to bounce some color back into the midtones. We'll have some fun with that. So you'll learn with me that nothing's done until the very end of the model. I typically stop painting a particular area at about, I don't know, what I would call 60 or 70% of the way done, maybe 80%, so that I can paint all the areas around it and then come back to it when I have a better understanding of how all the colors are relating to one another. I talk about composition a lot, overall composition, your model. You can take a look at it and just focus on painting the skin and paint the skin to the best of your ability without any care for the rest of the model, and you'll get good skin. But then you might paint the rest of the model and your skin doesn't look as good as you remember it looking when you painted it, because the other colors you've used for like the clothing and all of that doesn't really relate as well to the color of the skin that you put on. So if you just take everything to the nearly done level, then paint the areas next to that nearly done level, you'll see how color interacts better and what you may need to do to shift a particular color one way or the other to get better response out of it in the end, better visual response for the people looking at it, yourself included. Well, you'll see me do that. So rarely will you see a part of a model that's just finished until the whole model is ready to be called done. Everybody's week is going all right. It's already Thursday.
I know. It
seems
crazy.
Silly, doesn't it?
It's so silly. It's already stream time is what was silly to me. That it had hit 2 o'clock.
This day has been dragging for me because I have so much stuff going on, and a lot of it's waiting on answers I can't get on our time zone. So it feels like I'm just in that
sitting
hurry up and wait mode for a lot of things
worst
on my plate. That's always a pain in the butt.
I had a ton of get stuff situated today, which is good.
You're out tomorrow, so
because I'm gone tomorrow too. What color are you gonna do after all this purple? Because we're getting close.
I think royal purple over. Oh, you mean on other parts of the model or on this part that I'm painting?
On this purple.
Royal purple is next on this.
Okay. What you're using? Dark purple right now?
Dark purple right now. Yeah.
I did a chat. I know my paint colors from camera. We're getting there. Royal purple, just edge highlight, or are you gonna glaze it, or?
I'll layer it into the high spots, and then I'll figure out a highlight for it. I'm thinking I want to push it more to magentas.
Oh.
I'm going to put on my JUN hat and use some vibrant purpley magenta.
Oh. Are we
going
to get some
here.
Dark hot pink on Lord BZZZT?
Maybe some dark hot pink. That would be a great color to come in with after that. Rather than magenta, we could use dark hot pink. That's a great idea.
Look at that.
Gabe's already helping.
I'm already just tossing great ideas over this monitor.
Dude, like Chris never does that for me.
No, because Chris glues rocks to his models.
How dare you speak ill of the dead?
He's going to go collect a bunch of fun ones on his vacation.
I love how yesterday you were like, there's lots of rocks there.
And he didn't get it. And then he did, and it was wonderful. Great moment.
He didn't get it right out of the gates.
No,
it was kind
he
of
did
sad.
not.
I mean, it was sad, funny, sad.
So what I was going to say earlier is that I've been trying to convince Chris to play a video game with me. Any game. I was like, Chris, I just want to play a game. Let's find something. And what he wanted to play was different than what I wanted to play. But I kept saying games that we've played already. And he eventually was like, no, I'm going to do this instead. Like, okay, great. That's fine. So I found a different game to play. And I made my own path. And that fool yesterday said, you know what? I think I'm going to install PoE 2 again. And I said, Chris.
After that whole conversation
after that whole thing. And I've already picked a different game. No, I'm not doing it. And he's stubborn enough that he's going to do it anyways. And I'll have too much FOMO. So we'll see. He's such a... That guy.
So that's interesting because he was really down on it yesterday.
I know. Because he felt bad, but also doesn't know what he wants either. I knew what he wanted. He just didn't want to accept it.
He really enjoyed PoE.
He did.
They did screw his build.
They did.
So
he can find another one. Question about black armor. I'm so sorry I missed it. Oh, there we go. I found it. We have a question. Hello, I'm seeking advice for black power armor. Coal black seems too light, and satin black had too much of a shine for my taste, and mixing the two didn't help. Where would I get a simple, rich, matte black?
So, coal black is too light, meaning that it seemed to gray more than you wanted it to? Is that what you're saying? Because a lot of times I will start with just our black primer, which is basically like a coal black base coat. And then I like blue in my black, depending on how fast you're trying to go. For me, this is the way I prefer my black armor to appear. So this has a lot of blue in it. It isn't as dull as just black, right? Black, in order to appear deep black, has to be shiny, right? That's why our satin black is such a more pure black. The more you matte a black out, the more gray it gets. So here I work up like black base, Payne's gray into white blue, and then a black wash over the end of it. Use the black wash at the end to dull the blues back down, but to still allow you to have a little bit of that blue nature to it, so it isn't quite as boring as just black. We had a really good look at that on the Anthony LT Gray video, because I did his black power armor that way. And it's all done with Payne's gray, white, blue, and then a black wash at the end, right? So the black wash keeps everything going back to where it appears black, because remember that, kind of like white, black can be a thing that you see without it having to be black. Some of the best black power armor you'll ever see painted doesn't use any black, the same way as some of the best white you'll see painted doesn't use any white. All black has to do is be the darkest thing on the model, and it makes it feel like it's black anyway. The brain registers it as that's black armor. It just has a little bit of tinge of blue or gray to it, or whatever you've done. And that's a better way to approach it than to try to find a perfect true black. Because black is as dark as you're going to go, and it can bring too much contrast onto it. Whereas something like this, like on my armor, I haven't used any white, but it reads as almost a white because it's the brightest thing on the model. So you can do the same thing in the reverse with black. You could just make sure that it's the darkest thing on the model, and it will appear more black. Even though this next to, we have like a primed model. Yeah, this next to a primed model is obviously not black, right? The primed model is black, but this looks like black armor and reads better as black armor than if you're searching for this, right? But it doesn't mean that you couldn't also start with coal black or satin black and then do, I know you said satin black was shinier than you wanted it to. You could put matte varnish over the top of it, but you could do the blacks and then work into dark neutral gray, bright neutral gray for a highlight, and then do black wash on top of that. So that keeps it without the blue, but it does the same thing. You build it up brighter than you want it, and then you use the black wash to knock all that down. It pulls all those grays back into the realm of blacks and gives you subtle highlighting that you can go back and adjust as you need. That's the best way to do it. That's the way you'll always see the better painters operating black. It's like our white tutorial that's coming out. That's like, how do you paint white without ever using white? That's what this guy is, right? It looks white because it's the brightest thing on the model. But if I were to show you that next to white as a paint, that's not white, right? The model is gray. But again, it comes off like your army would look like a really nice white armored army. And you would never really use the white other than anything for maybe some of the final highlights on things. So for white and black in particular, that's the way that I choose to kind of help people out when dealing with miniatures, especially. And with power armor, it can look a little beat up, which would be a little bit more gray and things like that. Your choice.
That being said, a sick part of me wants to paint some Raven Guard with Vanta Black.
So you just can't tell which direction they're facing.
Yep.
The Vanta Black and the Blackest Blacks are neat, like effect paints. If you're painting like a statue for the middle of the town square for your D&D campaign, it might be fun. You know, a portal to the nether kind of a thing. But for painting, it's horrible. It's thick, unruly, garbage. These companies are fighting for having the Blackest Black, and it has absolutely no useful utility. You know, it's funny as a paint manufacturer to watch it happen. I'm like, wow, that's ridiculous. The one guy sent me some when they first came out with it, wanting to work with us, and I was like, I have nothing that this would be good for. I forget which one of the guys it was. There was like a lawsuit between them at one point, I think.
Oh.
I could be wrong about the lawsuit part, but it feels like they were not happy with Black 2.0, Blackest Black, Vanta Black, Blackest Blacker Black. It's probably great for people that do like photo studio stuff because you can create like completely dead backdrops.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But it has a really gnarly texture to it.
Yeah, I'm sure on a small miniature it would be pretty weird.
I've seen people, like I said, doing portals and stuff where it has a really neat effect.
Cool.
Where really you're trying to create some, you know, Cthulhu magic looking thing, you know?
Yeah. Almost black. Like, that'd be the only way to make a spell look like black. Like, if it was like a dark spell, to really get that kind of like magical black look. Yeah,
exactly.
It'd be cool. Boyle Hobby uses it as diorama rim paint. Otherwise, I can't see a use for it. That'd be kind of cool. Your rim.
Yeah, stuff like that. Now you're thinking.
Yeah.
Because it really does soak up so much light that you lose all dimension of whatever you painted. So it's got to be something where losing the dimension of it is part of the story. Or that the dimension wasn't needed in the first place.
The one thing that Chris wanted me to absolutely capture was when you start putting color on the eyes.
That probably won't happen today.
Great.
But maybe
I'll mentally
by the
prepare.
time we're streaming on Monday.
Great.
Yeah, that sounds like a Monday thing.
Mentally prepare. I'll have the weekend.
Those ruffles got really close together and I messed up a bunch of them.
Oh no.
Got that going for me.
So when you have a situation when you mess up like that, what is your process for going back?
Depends on a couple of these where I know that my brush stroke, you know, I catch it as it happens. I can go back with a damp brush and catch it and erase it.
Yeah.
To some extent. On some of these, I'm not seeing them until after I already have got enough paint down that I can't really erase it any further. And so I'll just go back with the khaki and re-highlight the areas that I need to. It'll be fairly simple. I probably won't do that now until I'm done with the purple or have the purple further along.
I would assume you'd want to do it before the purple though, right? Because what if you get it on the purple?
You know, it's one of those things where you just got to deal with it going back and forth. You'll notice that on this sleeve, the amount of inside spots is much less than on this one.
Yeah.
See how he put so many of them together in the sculpt on this one, but this one has fewer.
Interesting.
So the flaps are wider in between, and they're thinner over here, so it's just a little bit more tedium on this side to get it to look right. So I just messed up a couple times, but it's not a big deal. The khaki will fix it. But in case I go through while I'm doing the purple, it's like a flip of a coin, right? Like if I'm doing the royal purple and get more on there, you know, then it lets me do the khaki once. Right. Whereas if I go back and do the khaki right now, then get the royal purple and get it on there too, then I got to do the khaki again, and so I'd rather just.
Oh, I see.
I'd rather just fix it once.
Right, because you're gonna do the
Right.
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right. So I think we got all the dark purple that we need. Now we'll go to royal purple.
I think that's the hardest thing for me as a painter is accepting the fact that I'm gonna mess up and have to go back and fix it.
100%.
After spending so much time working on it.
Oh yeah. 100% you'll mess up. And there's nothing wrong with messing up. You want to make sure that you're doing it in a controlled manner so that you, again, it's one of the reasons why I don't ever finish any one part of the model. Because if you wind up, you know, there's been times where I've gotten a little bit of paint on my finger from touching the paper towel that I wipe my brush off on, and then I'll grab, I mean, God forbid, you grab and you do, oh, okay, I'm holding the model, and then you're painting, and then you take your thumb off and you have a big thumbprint on the middle of the non-metallic area. So then you got to redo it. So to get yourself divested of that, that time you've spent to some extent, where if you do mess something up, it doesn't feel like the end of the world.
Yeah.
Again, never finishing any one part of the model until you're ready to bring it all together as the model is looking complete anyway. Then you're doing the final detailing across the whole model. And that way you're in control of fixing those things that might come up. I got a little bit of a brush stroke off out of the lines. My glaze ran a little sloppy and got over an area I didn't want it. Then you can go back and fix it.
Right, yeah. But in this situation, because the ruffles or the inside fabric was so inside, you did most of it.
I wanted to do that first because doing the entirety of the blending of the ruffles on the inside and then the wash that I knew I wanted to do would be messy on the purple if the purple was done. Always try to paint from what I call the inside out. Go for the deepest part of the model first, get it as close to done as you feel comfortable doing, and then work the layers up on top of it, right? Usually it's starting with skin, you know, because skin's underneath clothes and underneath armor and all that stuff, so I usually start with skin. But, you know, sometimes when you're doing Space Marines, you have to do that kind of out of order, because for Space Marines, the largest color is the armor, right? The power armor. And so if you're going to do something like airbrush or dry brush like we did on this guy, then you want to dry brush the largest amount of color, whereas I would normally start with the face, because the face is inside all that armor, and then paint the armor around the face. So that if I go in and I'm doing the operation game and trying to get the brush in there to do the face, I don't mess up the blue armor somehow, right? But sometimes you have to do it backwards, because you know that the most time you're going to spend on Space Marines is painting the armor. And if you want to do a whole army, then you just do the armor real quick on all of your dudes, and then go back and do the details, which might include stuff that's inside, you know, and down deeper. You just have to kind of be all right with that. You have to tell yourself, register in your brain that I'm okay, that I'm going to do this out of order. And if I get a little paint on it, I'll fix it.
Yep. Zaba, how's it going? Welcome.
Lucas, what's going on? Lucas Zaba in chat there, gang. The wonderful sculptor, creator, and painter of the box art on these wonderful models. ZabaArt.com, where you can pick up a Lord Bzzzt. Lucas is just a great guy. Amazing model. I picked it up from him at Contrast over in Poland.
So fun.
I think he just released it. Lucas, did you just release this for worldwide? People can buy it now? I think it was only at the show was his first release of it, but such a great model.
So cool.
Really enjoying it. All right.
What's next?
So right. Royal Purple, man. We had this don't be a Chris. We had this conversation, Gabe.
Don't be a Chris. I did say that and realized that it was you just put it on your palette.
Dark purple, royal purple. That's what we're doing.
Nice.
Royal purple, because of the amount of pure magenta that's in this as a pigment, is a lot less opaque. So right out of the bottle, it's going to give you a really good way to glaze and do, you know, light color application. So it's not going to be it's an intense color no matter what, but it's not going to be overly intense right out of the bottle. So you don't have to spend much time thinning it. I always tell people that with Procryl, you're really only ever thinning for opacity. You don't have to thin to use the paint. And so right out of the bottle, you can just start painting with it. And Royal Purple is a perfect example of that in a situation where it's also lower opacity. So you don't have to thin it at all.
And you're saying that because of the magenta that's in it?
Yeah, magenta itself is one of the most translucent pigments. So like you'll notice with our dark magenta color, it really is a transparent paint because it's a single pigment magenta, pure magenta, and it acts like our transparency. It's so see-through.
Yep. Wobbly, it's great to meet you. I am Jabe.
Jabe.
I'm
Mr. Mysterious Voice. This is only day 2 of our cam, our Chris cam that is now Gabe cam.
Yep.
Because Chris is on vacation.
Today's Gabe cam. So for those of you who think that I'm Chris, please don't ever do that again. I'm not Chris. I am Gabe. I'm Jabe.
Are you
not Chris?
Better or worse?
I'll let you decide. I know what the answer's going to be, but I'll let you decide.
This is a tough one. I didn't ask this question so that I could be in the spotlight.
Well,
I asked this question so that
you need to answer it right now. You know what the answer is in your head, and I know what it is too. So we can leave it at that.
Wow, dude, that's some
one-way ticket to a band. No, I don't ban people here. I'm not
Chris. On Gabe here.
Walmart Christmas sushi. Oh man,
it's the Wish.com Christmas sushi in the house.
Yeah, you know what, Jason? Are you given the power for me to cash in my sushi points?
I don't have that power.
You don't have that power.
That's not a thing that I'm involved in.
So I am.
I have learned, and I am learning to be better at it. That as the leader of this amazing platform, that I have to allow you guys to sink or swim on your own.
Great. Well, good thing that I'm a fisher.
That was a good play.
Means that I'll swim.
You need the badumts.
Oh, banned. Christmas sushi, you're banned.
Is he here?
He's here.
Oh my God, he's checking up on you.
You're not supposed to be here.
He's checking up on you, man.
PC answer is Gabe is unique. I'll take that. Okay.
I think we had a question about the take on doing some camo.
Yes, if we the question was if we had a short for woodland camo. I said it was a great idea.
Didn't Jordan do a camo here recently? Was it desert camo?
It was desert camo.
He did desert camo.
Yeah, and that's what they said is that they saw our desert camo short and asked if we would do a woodland, which I have taken notes. So
woodland is like, I think I would use like maybe black, brown, warm brown, a little bit of black, and then like green. I don't think I'd have to use camo green. You could use maybe.
Lumberjack Tim, is that a good thing? Does that mean I have a deeper voice than Chris? I'm more manly.
Did Tim say you're more manly?
He said I sound like if Chris had a cold. So it's either more nasally or more manly. This Gabe guy runs a tight ship. You're right. I do.
This Gabe guy runs a tight ship.
I won't even need to use the whistle.
Holy pissing Chris off. Chris is the only one that can run a tight ship, according to Chris.
Just so everyone's aware, I am instating Fisher points. The trade-in value Fisher points to sushi points is 15-1. Fisher points
wait.
are worth 15. Fisher points are worth 15 sushi points.
Okay, yeah, yours are more valuable.
We have a forest camo short coming. So you've already read our minds. We filmed that last round. Great. Booyah.
Baby J says, "Go away, Chris." Dang.
Yeah. Go on vacation.
Dang.
You might be there for all we know. How many rocks have you found?
Chris, are you in the mountains? Is it cool where you are? Because it is not cool here, Chris.
No. Not at all. Yeah, why don't we give some love for Christopher in the chat here? Because we all know he's not going to get it later. We're gonna be burying him here on stream. He's gonna be buried. And I'm crashing the sushi market.
I told Chris we loved him when I left yesterday, Gabe.
No, we do not.
That's really harsh. Christopher, I feel like I should apologize. I was being very sincere.
This is my chance to redeem myself and to drown him.
That's not what friends do.
That's what our friends do.
Oh, jeez.
That's what friends do. That's what friends do. Oh man. See, I don't know, Jason. I don't think you know what you signed up for. You thought you were getting away from Chris and there you go. Need one of those. Tadpole Jackson, thank you for the sub. 8 months. 7. Why are you counting?
Shh.
What is he counting for? Should I get my slobbery mitts all over this?
Oh, Chris. He's touching your stuff, Chris. Touching your stuff. He's pressing your buttons, Chris.
Pressing all the buttons. Friends Don't Let Gabe Sing. Great song.
Well, not
True.
sing Chris's song.
Chris has too many songs.
That's the song I yell at Chris. There's 2 songs I yell at Chris for singing. It's that one and the one we won't talk about.
Does that have to do with furniture?
That he did the other day.
Spaces
and he's
you
lucky I didn't jump over this table.
Spaces
He
you
only
live
does
in?
it when we're live and I can't actually throttle him because there would be witnesses.
Oh, it's so funny. I did take a picture of it. Me and my wife went there. We won't say what it is. And I sent him a photo of the sign on the outside.
Uh-huh.
And so he sent me a voice memo of him belting it in his house, but it clipped the audio, so it kept cutting in and out while he was screaming it. So funny. Save that for his review.
There are times where I think I like these people, chat. Jen convinces me that we have great people that work for us. And then there's times where they sing horrible furniture song jingles. and I think she's lying to me.
That's what it's all about. Fun, paint time is what Sushi says. That's right. That's right. Good workup you got here, Jason.
Slow but sure. Slow and steady wins the race. Royal purple. Royal purple,
nice.
dark purple is just such a neat, nuanced color combo. It gives you such a great, deep royal purple, believe it or not.
Yep.
So good.
Thank you, Flapjack. Speaking of horrible furniture song jingles,
Flapsack.
welcome in, everybody. We're Monument Hobbies.
Almost like Chris never left.
It is 2:45 p.m.
You did not give me the requisite amount of time.
We are painting Lord BZZZT.
You did not give me the requisite amount of time when you said, speaking of whatever, to say, welcome in, chat.
Are you supposed to say it?
Well, you're supposed
We
to give
supposed to
me
say
a
it together?
chance. You're supposed to say something silly like
And then we
hey,
say it together?
speaking of, and then I go, welcome in, chat. But
Okay,
I can only do it when I'm given enough time to think about what you just said when I'm painting.
So
Because I'm doing the real work here, Gabe. I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
No,
but
for sure.
One of us
Absolutely.
is focused on helping the people and providing them with amazing hobby content. And the other is Gabe.
I am Gabe.
Which is usually Chris. They are doing a good job of doing each other's job.
It's fair. I'm here on the stream.
And by
Chris
we, I mean we the
is-
people.
We the people.
Chris is rolling in his grave right now. He's like, you said my thing!
Okay, so I'm supposed to let you say welcome in.
So,
What's the...
it's a team effort, Gabriel.
So we say it together?
No,
Okay.
we're not trying to do that. And we're
I
not
like
doing
that,
it in a
though.
round. And
Why-
we're
why
not
not?
doing, like some big
Kumbaya?
opera singing thing.
Okay.
You say your thing, and then you count 1001, 1002. And if I don't say it, because I'm deep involved in presenting the people with what they came here for, then you
I cover
say,
for you.
welcome
cover-
in, everybody.
I cover for you. Okay.
Right.
Great.
Right.
We do have a question here to bring it all back. Bring it all back,
Oh,
everybody.
here we go. Train's on track.
Train's on track. I won't use his whistle.
You already did. Root.
Other whistle. Other whistle.
Root.
Other whistle. Hello, I have a question. Where I live, the weather during the summer is really hot. We get to like 35 to 40 degrees Celsius for the entire month. When I paint, my paints dry really fast. I don't have time to fix or correct stuff. Also, same issue for the airbrush. Can you recommend a solution? We are the experts of 35 to 40 degrees Celsius.
So let me tell you. Yeah, first that made us think, can we come visit you? Because that's cold.
Yeah.
We live in Phoenix, Arizona in the desert where right now we're in the part of the year where it's about 43 to 44 C
Yep.
for 3 months.
Yep.
So yeah, we know all about heat. And you'll see that I don't use a wet palette or anything. I use a dry palette. The paint works pretty well. It's super dry here too, so we don't have a lot of moisture in the air. When you say you don't have a lot of time to fix mistakes, you're never going to have a lot of time to fix mistakes with any acrylic paint, just because acrylic is at the thinness that we paint with normally. you're going to have basically flash curing of some part of the brush stroke. Now, you can take a wet brush stroke and maybe squib it around and erase it very quickly, but you have to be on your toes. I have to be super fast on my toes. I've done it a couple times on this where I painted these stripes, right? Where because the stripes have multiple index concaves, so it's a rippled pattern, and so I might hit the brush against something I don't want to, and I'll have to go back in and erase it real quick. And I can do that, but if I don't, then I just go back and paint over it with the other colors. That's legit the real answer with almost any acrylics for anybody. It's not like if I live in a cooler, a wetter place that my paints take much longer to dry. Acrylic being a water-based paint, the evaporation is immediate. That's why they're used for what we do, because they cure so quick. So don't feel bad that you're not able to correct stuff with the paint. Just try. I mean, the reality is, number one, paint with thinner paint, so you're not putting big globs of paint on mistakenly. You'll notice that a lot of times, like here, I'll show you, when I'm painting these thin lines on the fabric, when I go over to my palette, pop in close. When I go in on my palette, look at how much paint I have. Well, that's a lot of paint for what we do in miniature. If I were to go and paint this, now I could get away with using that much paint on this big area because the big glob of paint doesn't really interfere with anything. But if I were going to do this smaller area that I've been painting here, I would wipe most of that off. That's why you see I paint on my thumb, because I don't want a lot of color on the brush. It makes it too difficult to move that color around in a controlled manner. So maybe try focusing in on having less paint on your brush to begin with. That'll keep you from getting paint where you don't want it, right? But still give you enough paint to paint with. So that's probably a good place to start. You'll see that I do that all the time. And as I'm painting more fine details, I'll wipe more paint off because I just don't want there to be a big glob of paint on there. I want to make sure that every tiny brushstroke that I do delivers color, but not in a way that bleeds outside the lines or causes me problems. So that allows you to get a lot more confidence in the placement of paint by having more control over how much paint is on the brush to begin with. Then you make fewer mistakes. But when I make mistakes, like I've missed in some of these, I've gotten purple on the inside of these little folds where it's supposed to be more yellow. And I'll just go back with the yellow and top them off, fix them, paint that one little area again. It's just something you get used to. I've taught people for years not to be mad when you mess up. We were just talking about that earlier, right? Don't be mad when you mess up. Try not to finish any one part of the model until you're ready to finish everything, is the way that I've told it today. Because, that way you're not 100% invested in any part that you might get a paint mark on. Because that can really take the wind out of your sails, right? You get paint on a part of the model you spent hours and hours and hours and hours on. Trust me, I've done it. And you don't want to get to the point where you're just like mad and don't want to paint anymore. Just be like, oh, I'll fix that later.
Xenobond, don't eat the paint.
Yeah, please.
Do not put your wet brush in your mouth.
No brush licking.
No brush licking here. Liz Masucci, thank you for the 1 million sushi points.
Who gave you
that? Christopher's mom.
She's in here?
She's here.
Liz!
She's hanging out. Chris said false, but...
Liz, we don't know each other, but I love you already. Not because you delivered this progeny upon us, but because you gave Gabe sushi points.
Yep.
My hero. You invested in the war of the worlds that is Chris and Gabe.
Yep.
And I'm here for it.
So now that I hold the majority stock of 2 million sushi points.
That's a big amount. Do you know what the current divestment of sushi points is? Like, do we know how many are in the marketplace?
My guess is that Chris gives away and takes them away so much that there was none before.
There was none before.
So I'm going to cash in all of my sushi points and transfer them to Fisher points.
Chris, he's crashing the market.
So
did you expect this, Chris? This is a news interview. Microphone in front of Chris's face now. Chris, was this something you were expected while being away? That Gabe, your illustrious replacement, would crash the market on sushi points?
True. It feels good to be in the ocean. That's what he said. Which I don't understand.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
But that's also Christopher.
That's pretty much what Chris does.
Yeah.
I don't ever know what he's talking about.
Why are Kolinsky brushes such a pain to import? Customs held my items for weeks and then sent them back to the UK, and now they're heading back again.
Because you have to have a CITES license to import animal goods and that are of a protected manner, and Kolinsky sable is on that list, even though it's on there incorrectly. It has been since the 80s. So in North America, until Canada and the US remove it, you have to have a license that you as an individual are not allowed to get. So you have to be a corporation like we are. We can import sable, and we do all the time without any hassle. But as individuals, you can't, which is why a lot of companies like Rosemary and Co. Won't even ship sables over here. Anything that you see on Amazon is not a true Kolinsky sable unless it's there under the wrong heading. They've lied, because Amazon doesn't have CITES certification that I know of. They're not dealing with that. There's only a few companies in the U.S. that will go for the full thing. CITES requires everybody from the trapping entity through all channels of distribution to fill out paperwork on the source of the animal has been legal the entire time. It's been transferred between licensed hands through its entire process before it reaches U.S. shores, and nobody wants to do that. The trappers don't want to be involved. They don't care. They'll just sell it to China. China doesn't ask for CITES certification. So there's a whole big, long problem with natural Kolinsky sable.
That's very interesting. I did not know
But
that.
it's not impossible to import it. That's a wives' tale. It's just that at the consumer level, you can't get the licensing required. Without starting a business and showing.
Agrippa, no, Winsor & Newton brushes would be sable. But they have Winsor & Newton has the license to bring them over here. It would be, if you were to purchase them, that they not from a company that resides here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that were to ship from them.
And some companies do. Some companies provide the customs declaration payments, but not very many, or the customs declaration paperwork.
Yeah.
Right? To allow you to better import, but that has been fewer and further between. And technically, it's not possible to do that. The only reason it happens is when it goes through a customs agent that doesn't know what the rules are. And those rules under the Biden administration became very forward. There was during COVID and everything, the Biden administration really put lockdowns in place on customs to generate revenue based on making sure that illegal things weren't coming through. And those rules pop back up. So it's become worse in the last 5 years than it had been before that, because it was kind of like nobody, don't look, don't tell. Nobody was saying anything about it. And it's stupid, because you would think there are legislation groups that have gone through and pushed it, but it isn't important enough for anybody to do anything about, right? There's absolutely no reason why the Mustela Kolinsky should be on any type of endangered species list. It's not. It was a clerical error because of genus species incorrectness on the filing, from what I understand. Of course, none of us were there to know, so it might be that it was more purposeful than we are figuring right now. But it should be, in theory, you would think it would be a thing that was easy to fix, but it has to go through legislation because you're having to change a law.
First time catching the stream, welcome in. We're glad to have you. We just have a question. Why does the tip of my brush split over time and I can no longer have a single point? Am I not cleaning it properly, or is the brush simply no longer usable?
You're not cleaning it. I don't know about properly, but it's collecting paint in the ferrule area. So when we paint with liquid acrylics, as we use mainly in our hobby, let me find a brush to compare here, because I don't clean my brushes either. Right? So here, let's get one of the same size.
I've got it super punched in.
Here it is.
Super punch.
Super punch. So you'll see that the brush on the left versus the brush on the right, the brush on the left has less paint down in the ferrule area, the area where the metal hits the bristle, and you can see this greenish buildup on this brush that goes up because we've been painting with this one and banging paint. Thinner paint will rush further up the filaments due to capillary action. So the thinner the paint, the quicker it can go in between the filaments, and the further it will draw up into the paintbrush. So the thinner the paint, the more paint you can load onto your brush because it fills the bristles more. Well, as it fills the bristles more, it actually goes, there's a lot of bristles below the ferrule level. Where we tie the bundle is down below here. Right? And then there's glue and all the other stuff here. So there's lots of bristle that you're not seeing. Well, that paint goes into all those bristles. As you get paint in those bristles that dries, even where you can't see it, it's drying down in this area over time, right? Especially if you don't use your brushes all the time. If you use your brushes every day, this is less of a factor. I use my brushes every day, so having this much paint still lets me get a point. Like if I go here and get this brush wet, I still get a good point. Right? And so I can paint with this brush and it won't split on me like you're talking about. But if you don't paint as often, what happens is this dried paint starts to constrict and put pressure on the brush down here and squeeze the bristles together, which does this. Right? All I'm doing is putting pressure down here at the ferrule, and it splits, it forks your brush. Sometimes that might only be two bundles of hair, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4, but your brush will start to look like that. And you'll clean it, right? Or you'll put it in water, it'll make a point real quick, and then as soon as you start painting, it'll do that again, right? So that's exactly what your brush is doing. All you need to do is use our Juntastics Drunken Brush Goop, the best brush soap on the planet. Jen, my partner, came up with our brush soap, called Brush Goop King Punch Out.
Yes.
So our brush goop is just a all-natural brush soap that if I get my brush wet, right, and get a little bit of that brush soap on the bristles, right, then I just do it in my palm. You just need a area that has a slight crevice to it where you can rub the paint and just get that in there and just start agitating it. I rotate the brush 90 degrees as I do it, and then I just go back and forth. You don't want to do it at a heavy angle because you're not trying to bend the bristles and break them. You just want to do it at a slight angle. You see, like that. Not much angle at all, but enough to where you can be pushing. As you're going forward, it's pushing soap into the metal bundle. And look at the soap changing colors. Right? It's getting paint. Like, this is not the brush that I've been using to paint with. This brush has been sitting over in my cup. So, notice, look at that.
Cool.
That's the amount of paint that it's getting out of the ferrule. Because it's very easy to clean the bristles that you can see. What you have to do when cleaning a brush is clean the part you can't see. Because that's what's causing your point to not have it. Most people think that, paint up at the point is what's causing the point to be bad, and I've cleaned it and it doesn't look like there's any paint there. That's not the case. It's all this stuff down at the bottom, right? So then if I take a napkin, right, and, this clean part up here, and I wipe all that off on my hand, look at that. That's how much paint we got out of the bristles, even though there wasn't a whole lot of paint in there. And if I rub hard here at the bottom, look at that. There's chunks, right? That it's the paint, the brush goop has loosened up, and that I can just get out of there. And with this brush, I'd probably have to do that 2 or 3 times. But guaranteed, we can it'll bring your brush to where it'll point again, assuming that you don't have a brush that's 80 years old that has had that paint sitting there for long. But just keep doing it again and again and again until you see a lot of that color go away down at the ferrule. For the first couple of times you clean it, it'll pull more color up at that area because you're pulling paint up from underneath. Right, the oils in our brush soap will help loosen up things that's ancient. Jen's clean brushes that we've thought like, there's no way that brush will ever paint again, and you can paint a model with it. Stuff that we were using a dry brush with and all that. There you go, quick brush cleaning lesson.
Yeah, Kruger, you can restore pretty much any brush.
Yep.
As long as it's not like broken bristles, obviously.
Broken bristles can't be repaired. Super glued bristles can't be repaired.
Yeah.
So some people come to us and say, this brush, you told me it could come back. And by super glue, like if you've done like basing paste with it over time, something that has a thick acrylic resin or poly in it that's meant like a big adhesive paint and white glue for terrain basing and stuff, it'll clean a lot. And you might be able to get that paintbrush back to working. But for general painting brushes, I could clean any of these over here. Like I've got brushes like this that are like pretty stiff. Like, look at that. It doesn't even really flex, right? Because I haven't cleaned it much. So the point doesn't split or anything. It's like solid because I use this one to do basing texture on my models. But yeah, it would clean that too. You can see that when I bend this over, it doesn't bend at the ferrule. There's so much paint there. So yeah, it'll clean that like a champ and get it to where I can use it again. You have to spend some time doing it. Like clean, you're probably talking about cleaning 2, 3, 4 times for that brush. But just like what you just saw me do. Same thing, you just then repeat it and repeat it and repeat it.
Yep. All right. We got quite a few questions. So OCB Paints asks, summer's here in Midwest. Any recommendations for the maximum humidity where it is safe to use your spray primers?
All humidities. The Color Forge went through and showed them spraying theirs in the rain.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I don't recommend that because now you have watered down paint.
Yeah.
Right, and a wet model to boot. But yeah, humidity is really not an issue with it. Shake it, make sure the can's at room temperature, you're fine. It's the right time of the year. You can spray it in the cold. Like, you know, it's snowing outside. So long as you're not getting snow on the model, make sure the can is at room temperature, and it's great. It's an acetone base. Doesn't suffer from what a lot of the other solvents do, like other hobby sprays are going to suffer from.
Yep.
You can use it anytime. Just make sure it's at that, you know, kind of mid-20s C, 70 degrees kind of area, and you're fine. Good to go.
Division Ring asked a question about your recent dry brushing video, which we released today. If you haven't seen it already, you should go check that out on YouTube.
Oh, the leather one on the Warrior?
Yes.
Yeah.
The question is, well, I post that link there. At the end, you mentioned avoiding powdery textures, and usually I hear the way to avoid that is to not use a paper towel to unload the brush because it'll suck out the moisture that you want and leave too much pigment behind. But you were using that method in the video. Yep. What's your advice on avoiding those powdery textures?
The only thing you have, it isn't the paper towel. The paper towel can cause you to have gumped up. If you use cheap paper towel and you wipe your dry brush on the paper towel, the worst it's going to do is put little chunks of paper towel on the model, which can be a bummer, right? That can give you texture. So I'm not going to say that's not it. But the powdery stuff comes from you allowing the paint to sit in the brush too long. That's why you have to clean your brush after every, you know, couple of approaches to the model with a dry brush. Not every time. Right? Or although I know people that do, they'll dry brush and then they'll rinse their brush real quick, dry it out, and then go again. That is the ultimate way to prevent it. But it's the fact that the paint never gets entirely out of the brush if you don't put it in water. And what we do in dry brushing is what I call season the brush. The first time you put paint in it, wipe it off on the paper towel. You'll clean most of the paint off of it, and then you'll go to the model, and yes, you've taken most of the moisture away, so you don't get a lot of paint that first time. So you go put it back in the paint, wipe it off on the paper towel again. Now you're starting to load the paint up and saturate the bristles. So now you're not going to take all the moisture out. So then you go on that second time, you get better, right? And then the third time you get that same, it's really good. And then the fourth time you get really good. But by about the fifth time you're looking to dry brush another area of the model, you should probably dip it in your water, clean it off on a paper towel, dry it out, and then start over and re-season it. Because you eventually, the paint from the first time you put it in the paint, right, is now so dry in the bristles, but you're still knocking those bristles hard against the side of the model, and it's causing that little poof of paint dust, and that paint dust settles on the model and causes that. And it may be dry, but it still sticks like a bastage. Like, you're not going to get it off of there by rubbing. It's not like you can blow on it and blow it off. It will give you that powdery look. Has nothing to do with the paper towel. Yeah. Trust me. And anybody that says it is, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Byron from Artist Opus telling you this. I have been dry brushing longer than he's been alive. And I can tell you that I've used a paper towel for 100% of my dry brushing. And I do not get a powdered texture on the model, right? If you're careful with re-seasoning it, it's when you start going too long, you know, or I put the brush down and I talk on the stream or something, and then I pick the brush up and it's dried in the bristles, you know, and then I go back and see if it works, and it gives you a little puff of dust because it's just dried paint. And the pressure you're putting on the bristles is snapping the bristles around and flaking that paint off and turning it into a cloud, but that cloud is immediately grabbing onto the model. So, and that can look crappy, definitely, especially when you're just trying to do an edge. It's less of an issue if you're doing like the smudge brush, like you know. And I love Byron, by the way. If you watch the Artist Opus stuff, when they use the dome dry brushes to basically paint a whole model, fantastic technique there. And in that, it's better to have more wet paint because you're putting more paint on more surfaces. When you want to just catch an edge, though, you want to do the old-fashioned dry brush, right? You want to use like a flat dry brush. You want to get it on there, and whether you use a paper towel or whatever. But if you just use like the texture thing that they use, you're not getting enough paint on or off. And then when you go to the model, you can wind up with a bulked up paint edge that looks goopy around the edge. It's just too much paint buildup. It actually has a dimension to it. So the way to cut it in between is to use something, a rag. A lot of people will use a rag, like a cheesecloth, something like that. So if you have something that you feel free, I know people that use baby diapers because they are really great at not shedding cloth, like the cotton ones. They don't shed cloth, and you can wipe them off and then you can wash them. And then you bring the same diaper out. So if you can find cloth baby diapers, you can do the same. Not the disposable kind, but real cloth. I don't even know if they make cloth baby diapers anymore, but you know, that cloth shop towels and stuff that doesn't like pill up and have a bunch of fabric come off. Because that's the big problem with a paper towel, is that if you keep rubbing it on the paper towel will eventually start to dissolve because you've rubbed it so much. So you have to be careful with that because you'll get all the paper towel thread in there.
wobbly. If the hair starts to fall off and literally rip apart, well, that means it's time to get a new brush. I'm curious on what kind of brush you're using. If it is one of ours, you should send us a photo.
What's the problem?
They're having hairs fall off and rip apart of their brushes.
Like out of the ferrule?
Yeah.
It happens.
So, but just let us know what if it's after 5 minis. That's pretty quick. So it could be heavy-handedness with the brush. But
no, generally, if you're getting bristles that are coming out, it means that when the bundle was tied and glued, it probably just missed some of the glue catching all the hairs. The tie came loose in manufacturing. It's things that we can't QA. They just unfortunately show up as you're using the brush.
Yeah. Because
we can't get an X-ray scope to see how well that glue adhered. It may have been that the bundle had a knot in it, the little place where it was bunched up. And then as it settles and gets used and water goes up in the ferrule and gets into the glue part, that it loosens up. Yeah, if it's one of ours, we replace them. Yeah, I don't want to make other manufacturers look bad. I don't know if they will or not, but yeah, you shouldn't be expecting bristles to fall out of your brush.
Especially that soon. They said Webley said it was a Da Vinci brush.
Yeah, I don't know what Da Vinci would do for you, but they're a good company. I would assume that you could contact whoever you bought it from and tell them.
Yeah.
Bristles should not come out of a brush. If you ever have a bristle come out, start falling out or shedding. If you have one because you had a kinked one and you tried to cut it and pulled it out of the bundle, you got to be careful with that. That's why we say a lot of people will tell you if you have a kinked bristle, you get it with tweezers and you pull it out. Don't ever pull hair out of your brush. Let me show you. Let me find if I have I have a brush right here. Let me just show this. This may not be your problem, but because we're talking a lot about brush care, if I were to take, like this one we beat the crap out of, so we have some short bristles if you punch in real close.
Yeah, 500%.
So we have some bristles here around the outside of the bundle that are too short now because they've broken off, right? We've used this for terrain or whatever we've done, right? So if you have one that pokes out to the side like that, you want to get your clippers, separate it out from the bundle with the clipper blade, bring it down to the ferrule, and clip it off right at the ferrule. Right? This won't cause you problems with painting it. You'll maybe see it if you don't cut it flush. Don't worry about that. This won't cause you problems with painting because you'll never get the ferrule that close to your model, so that little bristle head won't matter. But what it does is where the tie for the bundle is, there's a string tying these down here, right? It means that you haven't pulled one out and now loosened up the entire thing to where now you'll lose more and more and more, right? So just be careful with that. You don't want the bundle size to reduce by pulling hairs out because now inside the ferrule it doesn't fit anymore. The pressure's wrong.
Kruger, it sounds like some people replied to you here, but if your airbrush is starting to spit water from nowhere, definitely check the moisture trap on your compressor.
100%.
Yeah. Most likely where that's coming from.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why it's a really good thing to have a compressor with a tank. Otherwise, the hose is the only tank you have, and it can build up heat and moisture in it. But always have a moisture trap if you don't have one, especially now that it's getting the hotter point of the year, because you'll get condensation in there and water will start to sputter out of the tip.
Spatsnat, yes, if you clean the brush with Rogaine, it will start to grow.
100%.
Yep.
True facts.
Like a tree.
People are going to be really mad at us.
Interestingly, it doesn't grow the hairs, it actually grows the handle. The handle gets longer, like Pinocchio.
That's a different product.
Doop.
Can you back out one?
Yeah.
That's a different product, Gabe.
Oh.
Yeah, that one.
Gotcha. Moving on. We have a question from Finn. What was Jason's orange oxide skull workup? I know it started with orange oxide and ended with olive flesh, but I forgot the second color.
It started with dark umber.
Oh, and then orange oxide?
Orange oxide after the dark umber. So a dark umber base, orange oxide mid-tone, and then either olive flesh or dark ivory or bone or whatever you want. I've used them all. It really just depends on how you want that bone color to look. Bone has a little bit more of a beigeish color to it, whereas olive flesh will take you more into that, not quite bleached white, but headed that direction. Yeah, I typically will either do like a dark camo green or a black brown even, or a dark umber as a base, just so you get the good shadow on there, because the orange oxide isn't dark enough to be the whole shadow that you want. 2 moisture traps, sarcastic? Yeah.
I think we do that too, yeah.
Oh, we just have 1.
Oh, but it's at the end, not on the machine.
Right.
Yeah.
It's over here at the end of the line.
Right.
You definitely need 1 close to the brush, not just 1 on. A lot of the machines will just give you 1 at the machine, like when you get a hobby compressor.
Mm-hmm.
It'll give you a moisture trap at the compressor end. But the hose is a tank. Remember that. It seems funny to say that, but the hose always has air in it, and condensation in the line happens as that air sits in the hose when you're not using the brush. Right? Like it warms up, you're spraying, and then you set the brush aside to do whatever, and now that condensation builds up in the line. So the moisture trap at the compressor does no good. The moisture trap in the compressor catches the moisture that the compressor, it builds up itself, especially on tankless compressors. If you have a tank compressor, make sure you're draining the tank. It has a little plug on it. Make sure you're opening up the plug and letting the water drain out. I know a lot of people that don't even know that exists. They've never drained their compressor once. They open it up and you get Cthulhu climbs out of it. Because you get some space age liquid that has a sentient quality to it. It comes out of there, starts screaming in weird tongues.
Well, speaking of draining your air compressor,
welcome everybody.
Did I do it right?
Yeah,
we did.
That was much better.
Great. I'm learning.
You caught me almost off guard. That was a good one.
Great. Good.
So I was wondering. I waited a second, knowing that you were waiting too, to see if you were going to come in with. We've got a question from so and so.
I love it. Well, chat. It is 3:15 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That is not an oil company.
Why, Gabe? Bring your own, please. This is BYOB,
it's so
not
funny,
mimic
though.
Chris.
I will say that they are funny though. They're good stuff, and I love your reaction. See, this is the problem with both.
Now it's my fault?
This is both the problem for both you and Chris. Is that the reaction is what makes me want to do it.
You 3?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, if this is your first time in, thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming. It is been a fun time painting some Lord BZZZT, talking about brushes, talking about air compressors.
I want to back up to the point where Gabe just threw everybody that's a veteran of the stream under the bus there.
I did not do that.
He was like, I would like to welcome everybody that's new, and all you old guys just,
yeah.
What are you doing with your life?
I'm glad
that was kind of what he just did.
I did not mean to do that. I was saying words, and I don't have the script in front of me. Chris didn't supply me with that. I'm running solo here, folks.
If your jokes are so bad you have to mimic Chris, then get out. Agrippa. Rah, Bubba.
Agrippa, that's part of the joke.
Oh, man. He got us.
It's all part of the joke. He had this prepared.
That's the problem. He's been sitting at his desk all day, not actually working, but figuring out his excuses.
I want to keep you all guessing. Is it truly Christopher, or have I just been operating behind the curtain the whole time? Interesting.
It feels a lot like Chris is still here to me, and I don't know that my opinion matters, but I was hoping for more.
Interesting. Sarcastic Grandpa, when you've hung out with Chris enough over the years, you turn into the same person in a way.
I hope I never reach that point.
It'll happen.
Chris, but oh my God.
It will
Jen
happen.
Would kill me.
The joke goes all the way to the top.
Jen would kill me. Although Jen keeps siding with Chris. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't like it either. No one should side with Chris.
No free pub for that guy.
No free pub.
See what I did there?
I saw what you did there. Yeah, I want the record to state that Spaceballs is my favorite movie. Christopher has never seen it. I showed it to Chris.
Chris fell asleep during Spaceballs for crying out loud.
Yep. On his birthday.
On his birthday.
Yep.
Like, what kind of nerve?
Yeah. So he's not allowed to quote.
I was there. I was bummed.
Spaceballs. Ever. We got a raid. What's the button I
raid?
use? What's the button I use? Oh no.
You don't.
Is it
you
a
just
horde?
say, hey, thank you for the raid. Oh.
Thank you for the raid.
There you go. Welcome, Raiders.
Welcome, Raiders. How's it going? We are Monument Hobbies. We are painting Lord BZZZT.
I'm painting Lord BZZZT.
Zaba Art. And we are
Lucas was in here.
having a fun time painting purple. Hello, hello.
Doing some royal purple over dark purple on Lord Bzz's butt.
Sarcastic Grandpa, yes, we are like the old married couple.
Me and him, or Chris and him?
Me, myself, and Chris.
Yes. Don't include me in this.
No. You're like the...
Just don't.
The cousin.
Let's just paint. Let's just paint and be quiet.
Hello from Spain. Welcome, welcome. How's it going? The Big 3 TV. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everyone.
We're painting this wonderful new sculpt from Lucas over at Zaba Arts. It is Lord Bzz.
Bzz.
We started on Monday.
Yep.
We've been slowly progressing through the chest plate and now on to some of the clothing.
Big 3 TV, thank you for the follow.
Welcome, everybody. Hope your week is going well.
Welcome, welcome.
You're now in the land of Proacryl.
Where Proacryl runs.
We
like
need to do
water.
like that, like an intro that's like a Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone? Or like the nice valley. The valley of Proacryl.
No, the Twilight Zone.
Oh,
Definitely Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone?
I mean, have you listened to you talk? Have you listened to Chris talk?
That's true. It is.
Yeah, this is more Twilight
Zone
than Happy Valley.
Travel Cedric, thank you for the gifted subs.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I did not realize that was the Cash Money one, actually. I just pushed a button. It looked like a castle on this.
It looked like a castle?
There, that's a better one.
That was
yes.
that was like a fairy wand.
Look at that.
Sweet.
Little Billy, I hope you enjoyed that gifted sub and rub it in Christopher's face.
Whoa, somebody subbed Little Billy?
Yeah, this is a good day.
God, Chris is
See, this is what happens when...
Chris isn't here to ban people.
I know.
He would ban everybody involved. Like, I think he would ban everybody who was here to see Little Billy get a gifted sub.
Yep. That's great. Hello from Spain. Welcome, welcome.
Zavi, hello. Welcome, everybody.
We need a Hidden Valley Ranch Proacryl commercial.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Wobbly had a question. I think someone had a question. Do you guys have a reference chart where you can see what colors would be similar to other companies? We do not do that, but you can go check out, like they said, Paint Rack. They do a great job of keeping a catalog of everyone's paints, and you can see what the comparisons are.
Yeah, we work closely with Paint Rack, give them all of our color IDs and stuff like that, so they have a pretty good comparison. It's never going to be 100% because we don't do our paints off of hex codes like most companies do. We mix our paints by hand with the old-fashioned way, so the digital rendition of our colors is never going to be exact, but it'll get you close. I do all the paint color design, and I don't work on what other companies do. I typically don't care. We just come up with cool colors. But some of ours are in the realm. We don't really have many that are like direct replacements. So, we have things that are in the realm, and our paints mix better than everybody else's, so you can get there. You hang out here long enough, we kind of make every color over time.
Visuring said, just looking at Zaba Art's selection of sculpts, it's a nice selection. Has a lot of stuff that isn't monster men or women with their boobs out.
Yeah. Lucas does amazing stuff. The anthropomorphic animals and stuff I think are great. We've got Lord Bzz here. I've got the little mouse that we can do coming up. And then we also got one of the mushrooms from him, the wizard, which I'm super stoked on. It's a cranky little wizard mushroom.
That one looks really cool.
I love him.
Yeah.
He has so much character to his models because they ride that fine line between just realistic enough to make the cartoonishness of them work really well and not feel like something I wouldn't want to paint.
Yep.
Because I'm not really attracted to cartoony stuff. I like to exist in a world that is fun, but not, just super cartoony. And his ride that fine line, giving me a space where I can do, more realistic non-metallic metal over a breastplate on a fly holding a piece of poop. So it's just perfect. It speaks to my youthfulness. These models, they're fun.
He was at LVO last year, or I guess not last year. No, he's at LVO.
Oh, he's at LVO too?
Yeah, this last
I didn't go,
January.
so I don't know.
And I was really thinking about getting the snail that he has.
It's amazing.
Such a cool model.
It's amazing. Yeah. The turtle, all of them are great.
Yeah,
they're all
super cool.
Great way to absolutely make your wallet hate you is to go to zabaarts.com.
That's true.
We have no skin in this game. We don't get any kickbacks. We just love great people, and he makes amazing models.
Yep, super cool.
Just give him your bank account. Let him charge your bank account every time he comes up with a new model. It's going to be great. There you go, Lucas. You owe me. You now have a subscription plan.
Yeah, honestly, I was gonna say, hey, if you maybe
he was in here earlier. It's pretty late on his end of the world, so I don't know if he's still around. But
we still asked any big surprise for Gen Con this year?
No,
I don't think we have.
I don't think so.
No, we may have a fun little stinky color.
No. Yeah, I don't think timing on any of the other stuff is going to be... I can't promise anything on the stuff we're working on for end of year. We got some heavy-duty stuff we're working on, but it may shove into 2026.
Yeah, and it's actually coming up quick. I always forget Gen Con because... Not forget it, but, we just came out of May, and it's like, oh, we just hit summer, and Gen Con's at the end of summer. It's a month and a half away.
Yeah.
It's close.
It's silly.
So close.
I get done with the normal, like after Adepticon, when we went to Contrast, you went to UK Games Expo, and I feel like, it's downtime.
Yeah, we have time.
But we already have to think about everything else, like the booth changes and everything. Yep. It's an ongoing thing that you can't ever let, you never get a reprieve from.
Finn, I don't believe that they're STLs as well.
I don't believe so.
No, I think because they're all...
He does all of the molding and everything himself. So he does all the sculpting by hand.
Because they're resin cast, yeah?
Yep, they're all resins.
Yeah, and then they're hand sculpted.
There may be 3D printed bits that he does for like smaller bits that go with the models, but I don't know that I've seen any of that. Some resin casters will do that 3D print like the sword that goes with the sculpt because it's too hard to cast just the sword. But Lucas is an artisan, man. He really takes pride in what he does. The resins are fantastic. Not a lot of cleanup. I would be comfortable telling somebody who hadn't done a lot of resin modeling to pick one of these up. This was 2 pieces, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was,
That's great.
It was maybe both arms. Maybe it was 3 pieces. The entire torso head included was all 1 piece.
Jeez.
So it might have just been the 2 arms.
That's great.
That socketed in. And he has an axe. He has a halberd that he holds.
Oh, yes.
That's a separate piece. So 4 pieces.
Strello, thank you for hyping us up to your FLGS. You can tell them just email us.
100%. Thank you.
Talk to the team. Talk to Phil and Kenny and Jordan.
We have a great sales team here. Low pressure.
Yep. Good fun. So Christopher has this chair here.
Are you enjoying
it? No.
No. I didn't like it much either. It's kind of neat, the concept, but...
I know that it helps long term.
Yeah.
But for the 3 days I'm going to use it, my lower back is going to be sore.
Yeah, because you have to adjust your musculature to keep you stable.
It's like sitting on a pogo stick.
That's its whole point, though, right?
Yeah.
It's just you have to have your mind right to want to do that because it is going to... Your around your gut muscles are going to be strained.
It forces you to sit up straight, which is good. But
you can feel your core tightening up.
You feel your core, and I don't sit up straight very often, so I feel like I need to not, and it makes it feel worse. It's like it hurts to not sit up straight, so it forces you to sit up straight, which hurts different ways.
We should have a standing producing desk. There you go.
Dang.
Problem solved.
We could.
I stand.
Chris, you should put this on, I guess he's not here anymore, but...
Where'd he go?
I don't know.
To have vacation?
No, it's not a ball, Ghost Hunter. It is a pogo stick. Think of a giant pogo stick.
It is like a giant pogo stick with a seat, bigger seat on top.
It's like a round... It's like one of those... top of it reminds me of like a drummer's stool.
Yeah, like a drummer stool. It's like a bar stool top kind of thing, but oversized.
And then the middle part of it is like a giant spring. Just a giant spring.
It is. It is like a big pogo stick, except that it will go in 360 degrees. Yeah. It'll bounce up. It goes up and down, but also left, right, front, back, and all that. It doesn't have an index to where it only makes a plus sign. It literally will go 360 degrees.
It's a giant spring.
So it continually makes you adjust your muscle tension to keep you balanced, right? It's like a game, like a mini game you have to play to sit at your desk.
Yeah, like a door stopper, but enormous. And not as tall.
Yeah. That's a good analogy right there.
A door stopper is a great analogy. Like those playground animals. Yes, Okran.
Oh, that's even better.
Yep, but because it doesn't have like handles to move forward and back, it's just all of it. And yeah, it is like one of those playground animals, but it's got a stool on it rather than a horse. Why don't we do that?
Well, and luckily at Monument Hobbies, nobody's going to come up and knock you off of it like they do at the playground.
Do you think we have enough time before Chris gets back to
Maybe my childhood was just rough, but
to replace this chair with a playground
else.
animal?
With what?
Do we have enough time to replace this chair with a playground animal before Chris gets back?
It has to be a train. It has to be a little choo-choo train or a ship.
Gosh. A train
or a ship.
Or a ship. Because he says, let's get this, turn the ship around.
He says that I'm the ship. He's the Chat's the ocean. I don't remember.
He's the ship.
I don't remember.
And who's the captain?
You're the captain? Maybe I'm the captain. He's the ship, and Chat's the ocean. It changes every single time you talk to this man.
What does that mean?
It means absolutely nothing except that Chris should lay off the crack. That man and his LA drug habit never. You can take the LA. You can take the boy out of LA. You can't take the LA drugs out of the boy.
Out of the boy. Do not replace that chair. Everyone boo Chris.
Oh, is he here? He's here, and I just talked bad about him. That really sucks for me.
It's okay. It's not like it's recorded or anything.
Oh, good.
Yep.
You can delete that, right?
I think so.
Estrello says, were you able to recover from that fire a few months ago? What fire? Last year? We had a fire here at the building over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Been a while. And yeah, it was fine. It luckily was all to the exterior of the building. It destroyed like a huge amount of stock of go bags and things like that we stored in non-air conditioned container. It destroyed our booth for trade shows. Yeah. Which was very thankful that it did that in the off time. Good God, can you imagine?
That happened.
If it would have happened like the week before Adepticon.
It was this time last year.
Yeah, it was May.
Yeah, that was very stressful. I was like,
yeah,
great. What are we doing
bad.
for Gen Con?
Super bad.
I think that was the third show that I had like taken over.
Yeah, it was pretty stressful for you.
Yeah, but we did it. We built some tables, Christopher and I. Did it right. We did all right.
We bounced back better.
Yep. It's okay, Chris. You can mess with him when you get back. False. He cannot.
You just ordered a Monument Hobbies Playground Animal Spring Horse? What? Yeah, Estrella is a year. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It was May of last year.
Mm-hmm.
A Sunday in May last year, so over a year ago.
Yep.
Jen and I were talking about it not too long ago. We reminisce about that quite a bit.
Crazy.
We have since gated off the entire back of the building so that people can't get into it.
Got rid of the container altogether.
There is no more container because we have another facility.
Yeah.
we used to just have a container out back, and now we have another building.
Yeah.
So I don't know that was a.
That's crazy. That's insane.
A lot happens around here. The only thing we can guarantee with Monument Hobbies is if you stick around, it'll be totally different in about a month.
Yes.
The pace of growth that we have been on since our launch in 2018 has been phenomenal. Thank you, everybody, for the undying support. It is only your love of our craziness that keeps us fueled. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Watching me paint flies holding handfuls of poop. I appreciate you.
Spatz, yes, it is a swapper.
Oh, it is. It's an Eris swapper. Look
Yes.
at you.
Which I don't necessarily consider a chair.
Brittany, what's going on?
Hurts my butt.
Good to see everybody. Hope your week is going all right. It is Thursday. It seems impossibly.
I know. It's Friday
late
for me.
in the week because you'll be
crazy.
gone tomorrow. So
I know.
yeah, you guys are all abandoning me.
Yep. We're leaving, which means that you could work from home.
I don't think I can. I got too much going on. You know me better than that, Gabe.
Sounds like excuses.
It is excuses.
Excuses.
You know me better than that, Gabe. Although I've taken a couple days.
You have.
just like randomly.
I know.
I never do that. I'm trying to get better at that. It's very hard for me because, you know, it's funny, at lunch today, we do a deal that Jen instituted around here where during the course of a month, we will take a random group of employees out for a casual lunch. No, it's not intended to be business talk, but that's the point of this one, is that, you know, I said, you know, Jen was like, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. This is just a great way to hang out where we can, you know, be humans together and not, you know, completely focus on work. And then it was like, even though Jason just focused on work, because I talk a lot about the business, you know, I talk a lot about, you know, the inspirational side of why we do what we do. And it's great. And thank you so much for everything you do. And I'm like, it really resonates that, well, that's all I do. You know, I paint flies holding poop and I dream about monument hobbies. That's what I do.
Derpsick, got your gray spray primer from a local distributor. I couldn't wait for it to be back in stock in the MH store. Just use on 2 Marines. It's great. Good. I'm glad you grabbed some.
You are freaking lucky.
It'll be a bit.
I think that actual order doesn't go through until Monday.
Nibling, would you have a recommendation on a recipe for a really light gray that is like white but not white? Well, we have the video for you.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not out yet, but
we have a video coming out, and we did the full series that you can catch up with in the history on YouTube, which is white without painting white, where we did this towel ghost kill, and there's no white. There's a little bit of white as the edge highlighting here, right? But this is a way that I teach to paint white so that you don't have to use white. This is just bright neutral gray, white gray, or it's actually white blue as the highest color on there, slate gray, navy blue, those types of things. So it's a bunch of bluish grays worked up from a base that allows you to have good depth, but not rely on white to be a color, because white is as bright as you can go. You can't highlight it. So if you keep things in bright grays, then you can use white as the trim color, and you can still get an edge highlight like you see on the corners and such. But it's nowhere, I mean, I say nowhere near. It's close, but it's definitely not white.
Cool. Yeah, so you can catch those streams. That was a little bit ago.
Well, and Chris has a really good video that'll be coming out, I believe, next week.
Yes, either next week or the week after.
In the next week or two. Yep. It just needed a couple of edits. Otherwise, it would have been the video today, but it needed some edits.
And Chris decided to go on vacation.
Yeah, and Chris left us. So
that's the best thing to do.
Otherwise, it would have been out today. So I want chat to make sure you understand that some of us love you and some of us go on vacation.
We still got a great video out there today, though. Go check it out. It is dry.
Yeah, it was
brushing.
that quick one where we dry brushed the Warriors chest leather.
Real good. It is a really amazing, simple video on how to dry brush. But there's a lot of stuff in there too that
keep it simple.
Even as somebody who dry brushes a lot, you'll probably remember or glean something that you had forgotten or that you just didn't even know.
Dry brushing is one of the best techniques to have. Not a technique you will use as often the more you paint, but a technique that is absolutely critical for certain things that you want to do, for not only speeding up your painting process, but by giving a good random natural texture to things. Rocks, skin in certain cases.
Let me get that link.
Trees.
To the video right now. I will get that link right now.
But the leather we do on the chest plate was a great one too. Leather is a really good textured material where dry brushing under a controlled environment can give you really, really good results. That happens super fast. Hell, the Space Marine we did, right? This guy was 90% dry brushed. And it just shows that you can take dry brushing to a very high level and get a really good army out of it and have it go super, super fast.
There's that link for you guys. You want to see that dry brushing video?
It's funny that when I learned dry brushing, I learned it from old graybeards at a Hobbies store. And they presented it to me as if I wasn't ready for that. And in our hobby, we treat it like, oh, that's what noobs do, right?
Yep. It's such a good tool, though, I think, because it was...
Well, in scale modeling, they're using it for detailing that's very specific, right? Rivets on a tank can't be powdery and overdone. and thick paint buildup on the edges. So for those guys, it was something where it's like, you got to be really careful with this. You know, they weren't trying to do wargaming terrain. You know, they weren't trying to paint gray on rocks. They were using it for all of the things it can do, to pull rivets off the face of a tank, to put texture on things, pick up high detail, but you still don't want it to be, you know, big, heavy amounts of paint on a surface. So it is something where you need to, you know, learn to be gentle with it to some extent to get the most out of it. And now there's just so many other things you can do with the smudge brushing. You know, you can paint a whole monster or model with a dry brush. Because you typically aren't dry brushing, you're more what we would call over brushing with it. But the tool, having been called a dry brush, still gets pulled along in that statement.
Derpstick, I think it's funny that your gray primer is the only one out of stock. Figured it'd be the black primer because of how useful it is getting shadows onto the mini.
We order black in tremendously larger amounts than we do gray, white, and the other. So the varnish. So because black is the, you know, the titanium white of primer.
Yeah.
Right. So you will see that black will be in stock for longer. The gray just happened to be the second biggest seller out of the group that we didn't expect.
It is,
in all honesty,
great surprise though.
Yeah. Stores really picked up on the gray. Obviously, that means that consumers are really picking up on the gray.
Yeah.
And we just weren't fast enough on the restock on it. And so we can't, unfortunately, with the hazmat materials, I can't just order in one color. I have to wait for other stuff to build up before I can do it. But we have an order that's ready to go. So it won't be too long. A couple months.
Phil, I'm always breaking hearts. So there's that.
What?
He asked me if I broken anything yet. So I said hearts.
Who said?
Philip.
Oh. Gotta be more specific, Philip.
But actually, I have a button for that.
You kind of gave him that.
Which one is it? It's not the drum roll. It's
the rim shot.
The one that he makes sound like a machine gun.
But because he hits it a million times.
Those new shades. It's true. For those of you that have been around for a little bit, I had to get glasses.
Yes. And you look 42% smarter.
It's true. I, for my entire life, did not think I would ever need glasses. And I went in on a lovely Saturday morning, and they're like, you need glasses.
Well, guess what?
They're like, okay, close your left eye, and read this line. And I said, I can't read that line. And they said, great. Well, this is a line that you need to read in order to drive at night. I went, oh, awesome. Thankfully, my other eye has been carrying me this whole time, but that's why I found out I needed glasses. Brittany said last time I was here, I asked about the walls of the pant slits and the pant fabric outlines. From here, it looks like it's a darker color than the purple fabric color. Was that a wash or a painted outline?
The stuff down here on the yellow?
Looks like maybe the in-between the walls of the pant slits.
It's just the dark purple. I painted a darker color than I'm working with right now. We've already done one layer of purple, which is dark purple. Now I'm doing royal purple over that. So the dark purple is the first color that's there, which would make that look darker.
Right.
I cut it all in with dark purple. Now we're highlighting the dark purple with royal purple. And then I'm probably going to use something like faded plum over the top of this to give it texture on the fabric, and then wash over the top of that with something like dark hot pink. I don't know that the dark hot pink will give me the opacity I need, but we'll try it. We'll see. We'll see.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm happy with this color scheme for the cloth. Lucas on the box art used a lot of yellowish green on his clothing. And I wanted to take that in a little bit different direction so that I could use something that was a little bit more royal.
Chris, have a great weekend.
Take it easy, Chris. Have you guys not left yet?
I think they have, potentially. Maybe they're driving. I don't know.
It's like I can picture him like in the family truckster watching the stream.
Yes. They've got it on the TVs that come down from the
Yeah, right.
ceiling. All right, everybody, put on your headphones, plug them into the side of the car. We're watching stream.
I should talk to airlines and say, you know what? You need to have us as part of your sponsored content. American Airlines.
Oh my gosh. That would be insane.
American Airlines in-flight entertainment featuring Monument Hobbies. And we just tell fart jokes and talk about flies holding poop.
Why not?
While putting paint on the model.
Sounds great.
It'll be revolutionary.
I think my biggest takeaway from today's stream is to be okay with making mistakes.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I feel like when I watch you paint, I see you make a mistake every once in a while, but never a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's usually just like, how is he doing this perfectly? How are you getting it right in the right spot? But like you're saying with these ruffles, it's just it's too difficult, and so you'd rather not spend 40 minutes trying to do that one line. You're just going over it, and then you can fix it later.
In sports growing up, and I'm sure many coaches told me this, but the one that I remember who told me in hockey was that it was all about how you grip your stick, right? And same with like gripping the bat too hard and all sorts of things, is if you're more worried about the outcome of the action you're about to perform, you will never perform the action, or you'll perform the action less correct more often.
Right.
Than if you just worry about doing the thing. Don't worry about the outcome of the thing, just do the thing.
Put paint on the model.
It loosens you up. It gets your mind state right. You start paying more attention to the here and the now as opposed to the what could be. I think that's a great thing about life in general. If I always spend my time worrying about what might happen, I get analysis paralysis and I don't do anything.
Yep.
Or when I do it at such a timid manner that I mess it up because I've already built in the messed up. I've already thought myself into the product of the mistake. Whereas if you just paint, right? If you just let yourself realize there is nothing bad that can happen from putting paint on a model. Nothing. What is it? You get a color outside the lines. Oh, darn. Paint it again. I love painting. So if I get to paint the model twice, that's even better, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to paint the model twice, trust me. But that's the rose-colored glasses version of it, is that a lot of people get so bent up into the what could happen part of it. I might mess this up, so I'm not going to ever paint the model. I know a lot of people that have a lot of busts and boxes on a shelf, because painting busts is very difficult coming from painting Space Marines. The scale grows, the nature of your mistake is more visible because the face is as big as the Marine was that I just painted. So you have to get into a more detailed painting scheme, but it doesn't suck if you just paint it like you painted a Space Marine and get used to the size and the brushstroke and how it all works and where the details sit. So that's what we try to teach around here, is just, when Chris says it kind of tongue-in-cheek, just put paint on the model, but that's the reality. You'll hear people say paint bravely, and you'll hear, slay the gray, and all these terms that people use. But the reality is you have to just open up and stop worrying about what might happen and start worrying about doing it. Right? True. There's a lot more on the line going out on the hockey rink than there is on putting paint on any model I've ever done. Right?
Me too, Flapjack. Feeling a little called out right now.
Should be. Just put the paint on the model.
It's true.
Right? Find the time. The enjoyment of the hobby can come in a lot of different ways. I know a lot of people who like to collect the models, and that's their enjoyment of the hobby. They look up on their shelf and they've got all these really cool things that they nerd out about, and I think that's great. If you do like to paint, I've seen way too many people get clogged up and get that, what they'll refer to as artist block. It's not artist block, right? It's just brain block. It's just you absolutely shitting the bed and being too afraid that you might make a mistake. Yep. Airbrushing is one of the big ones, right? Non-metallic metal as a technique is one of the huge ones. I just don't think I can do it, so you just never try. And it's like, I wish I could reach out and just snap my fingers and have everybody be like, I like this so much, I'm just going to do it. And you'll have a lot more fun while you mess up. Because guaranteed what you see me do didn't come without a lot of mistakes along the way.
Right.
100%. I've been painting for over 45 years, and I still mess up more than I'd like. I still can't make decisions about color more than I'd like, but it's, I don't have the opportunity. I kind of force myself that when Chris turns the stream on and goes 3, 2, 1, it's like, haha, dance, monkey dance, and we paint. So I love that. You just do it. What color is the poop going to be? Green? No, we're going to do brown poop, but people have said I need to put sprinkles on it, so we might do sprinkles on it.
Sprinkles would be fun. You should do red. He just had beets.
I do not. No, that's like a bloody poop. That's horrible.
It's not bloody.
Nobody's going to look at it and think he ate beets.
Well, no.
They're going to think he needs to see a proctologist.
Or he ate beets.
Sucking at something is the first step to being sort of good at something, right? Yeah, it's like that. You know, there's so many cliche phrases. It's like the difference between a pro and an amateur is the pro has failed more times than the amateur has even tried. That's the thing, right? That's the thing. Don't be afraid to mess up. Messing up is just part of the gig. Just painting a formulaic unit without any new things to do is actually kind of boring. I've painted a bajillion Space Marines. I want to do something neat every time. Or I'm just doing chores. I feel like that too, Agrippa, to some extent. It feels like it is work more than fun. That's why you don't see me painting a bunch of big armies. It was fun when we did, and I keep referring to like the Lumineth Realm Lords army that I did where we painted 2,000 points in a week, right? That was fun because it was against a clock. It was a competitive situation at that point, even though I was only competing against myself and chat giving me crap. But it was fun. It was fun to find a painting method that was like, hey, I can do this on this entire army, get it to this point over the course of a week. In 7 days, I can get this army to where I can go put it on and they can film it for their channel and we can play Age of Sigmar. And that was a good challenge. Do I want to do that again? No. Although we painted up all that Battletech, right?
Yeah.
46 units of Battletech over the course of a month, but I didn't have a time limit that I was working on. Yeah. But I painted a lot of Battletech miniatures just because I wanted to be able to go pull any lance off the wall that I wanted to and have it be painted. Yep. So I've got 46 choices.
Now you paint a lot of Lumineth too in a very quick amount of time.
That was the one. It was all in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elevator Reno, what's going on? Tadpole Jackson, what's going on? You need to find those videos. You remember the Battletech? Yeah, it was great. It was just constant Battletech. It was when I first started bringing in all the new plastics that are off of like the PGI sculpts from the video games and stuff, which I really love. So it's great. Phil does not turn 56 in July.
Nope.
Phil's like 20.
Phil turns 87.
87.
Yep.
Okay, I thought he was 20.
He's born in the 40s. Right.
Panic Bomb, you started watching when we were doing the Battletech? Brittany says, I've been delaying finishing a Nerixon mermaid model because I don't want to mess up her skin, but this motivational call out was what I needed. Yeah, there is no mess up, right? There is no mess up. You'll see that we'll all paint things. I mean, you know, when I do something like this, and it's not a mess up, but when I do something like this at a show, I find that more people find it to be inspirational, the face, than the gold. This is Mashik from Flame On Miniatures was using this model at Contrast to do the gold. And then I had a couple walk up and say, hey, when I'm doing skin, do you work from dark to light or light to dark? They weren't finding a comfortable way. And so I just slapped some color on real quick to show how you can create quick shadows with two colors and blend them between each one another and all that. This is not something that you would be proud of to paint necessarily, but it works really well. But the thing I'm trying to relate to is that I could still paint this whole model as a brand new model and not feel bad about it. You just paint it over, right? Mm-hmm. We teased Baby J because he wouldn't like a model that was looking to us like, oh man, that model's great and looks finished. And he'd be like, I don't like it. And he'd primer over it and paint it again. He is the pinnacle of the hobby in that regard, right? Baby J don't like it. If Baby J ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And so it isn't even about making mistakes. It's about being confident enough to know that if you don't like the decisions that you've made so far, even if they're not technically mistakes, it's just colors you don't like. Maybe you started a model and then you got some inspiration watching a TV show or seeing another painter or coming up with a better color combo. And being unafraid to then just go in and prime it and do it over is the key to success as an artist. All of the great artists that I've talked to do not become so beholden to the work they're working on that it can't change. And again, I think it's Therapy Thursday. We haven't said that, but it really is Therapy Thursday here. Treat that for your whole life, right? If you're at a point where you're holding on to a belief system or something so hard that if you were to find out it wasn't true, it would break you in half, then you're doing it wrong, right? You need to be able to make sure that you can constantly course correct and ask questions that are hard. And if it has to be because, hey, I'm not liking this, I put the purple on here and I'm like, maybe purple isn't the right thing on Lord BZZZT. Maybe Lucas had it right and green would have worked better. Being unafraid to say, okay, I recognize that, let's paint it green. And being okay with it is great. It's good for your art. It's good for life. There you go. Have fun with it. Because that's the key. If you're not having fun painting, isn't it just work? And aren't our hobbies intended to be escapism so that we don't have to remember work and the outside world to some extent? Sometimes you're painting something that throws you right into the outside world, and that's fine. But I think for most of it, for me at least, it's escapism. My painting is something that even here with you guys during my work day, it's a blessing to be able to get up from my computer and not stare at a spreadsheet and come in here and paint models. And I don't want to paint models that make me think about spreadsheets, right? Yeah. So I don't want it to feel like work. That's why we tell poop jokes, and we love the questions you guys ask, because we can feel like we're actually doing something that helps empower other people to be creative, and that's key. That's really what we do. You went out and bought 20 more minis and painted 5 of them so I didn't have to face the mermaid skin. Okay, we're all guilty. I feel called out on that one. I've done that. Around here, you've probably seen. Chat will get frustrated with me because we'll be painting a model, we'll get pretty deep into it, and then I'll just switch it up to another model because I'll be sitting talking with like Chris or Gabe, and I'll say, I'm not liking it. I'm not feeling inspired enough. I feel like it's keeping me from interacting with chat the way I want because I'm just stuck in it. I don't like it. And we'll just change. And it's okay. I have to be okay with the fact that I have to explain to you guys why I don't want to finish it. Not feeling it right now. And we can come back and feel it again later and paint over it again. You believe in hot pink plaid? No, you do not. You have never painted anything, Mo, with hot pink plaid, you liar. You start 20 models before you finish one. It's your biggest issue in painting. I don't know that it's an issue. I don't hold myself accountable for how many models I have in various states of disrepair. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think that's one thing too with especially playing war games. Like the expectation is that you finish it. You want to finish your models, but it's like you have to finish this before you can move on because you need it on the table painted.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the bummer because then you feel bad for not finishing it every time you take it out to play with it. Whereas, hey, if you're just not feeling it, like Jason said, go to the next thing. Like enjoy painting. Don't be.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Because you have this opportunity as an artist to treat it for the hobby that it is and the love of the art that it is. You can force yourself into a hole with gaming. I think you raise a good point because having the army done is part of the gaming experience, and that is in juxtaposition to the hobby part of the art. So that can create its own struggle. If I know that I'm playing in a tournament or I have to have this work done, then it can make it not fun. It can make it work. So I think balancing that need to have it done for the gaming side versus the want to do it from the art side is tougher.
Yeah.
I don't do that, right? Because it's very rare that I get involved in a game anymore. So for me, it's like model. You look around here and you have a million models where the model is done and the base is black, right? Because on the stream, I'm like, done, and I put it up aside and then we pull it off. We'll pull all these models over, and this guy, will he ever get the base? This is the over-under. Will we ever finish the base? No. Will these models ever get the base painted?
I love that a lot of them are still on the cork.
Oh, yeah.
That's
why I buy new cork, because all the cork is on the models.
Right.
I might finish these, Gabe. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But, it's just that thing that when we get into the psychology of hobby, it's your hobby. Treat it the way you want. Don't feel like you have to do anything somebody else does. Trust me, there's a lot of painters I know that paint way faster than I do and with a determination that I have never had. They're like, this army is going to be the thing I do, and they do a unit and they get it done to a very high level. And I'm like, I would have freaking blown my brains out already. Yep. I couldn't paint that color that many times. Me, I'm more of that ADHD painter. No offense in that term, because but from a perspective of I see another bright shiny, I'm like, squirrel, and I want to go paint that.
Yep.
Because I think in terms of this stream so much as to, hey, when we get to the point, I mean, Lord Booz is a great example of really cool things. I think another shout out to Lucas, because he's made a model where none of the elements of the model are enough the same that you get bored watching it being painted. The ruffles have taken me a couple of days because there's a lot of detail to get the color in and around the folds in it and all of that. So there's a little bit more steady-handed work that has to happen. But then this collar is going to be its own color, so there's a whole nother workup we can show in different texture. The skin on the fly's head and arms will be, the boots will be different, the eyes will obviously be very different. So this model can work itself to completion with a lot of tutorial, a lot of, hey, let me show you this cool thing I think I want to try. But there are a lot of models where, like Space Marines, you get done with the armor and you're like, well, nobody needs to see me paint gold non-metallic trim for 8 days again. So we just put the model aside and I pick up something else that's cool for me to paint. So my brain is less in tune with the completion of the model and more in tune with what would be cool to paint that somebody might get excited and go put a brush to a model of their own with. So that's really the thing. ADHD gang, rise up. Cream colored ruffle. Yeah, it'll be more of a cream. It won't be the same yellowishness here. Maybe, not a dirty white necessarily, but that's how I would say it was like a dirty white. You can set yourself up for success with army painting by picking a faction with a lot of different unit types, materials, scales of figures, etc. Yeah, certain people, if they want to have it be that it feels different as you progress, one of my biggest problems with gaming is I love the idea of big armies of Space Marines. I hate painting big armies of Space Marines because it is so samey. It is so samey. It doesn't matter. I used to get over it. Like my original Imperial Fist army, I won my Forge World Best of Show with my Imperial Fist Dreadnought. My Golden Demon stuff was with that army. And it was the most boring thing had I not ordered all the bits. It was when I worked at GW, and so I was able to order bits galore back because they used to charge us for bits by the pound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was back when all the bits were still metal. So you would just get a big Ziploc freezer bag full of stuff for $5.
Jeez,
$15. And you could order the old Mordheim metal tabards. They had cloth tabards and flag banners and stuff that was from the fantasy line that you just stuck on your Baroque Space Marines. And now every Space Marine had character.
Yeah.
And now every Space Marine felt good. But the amount of time it took to build that army and to convert that army was
so long.
Huge.
Yeah. Once you've done that once, you don't want to do it again.
Huge. Well, back then I loved that part because it was what made the models feel like I wanted to paint them. As time goes on, I don't like building as much. I don't have the time to sit and convert a whole army up like that. I just want to paint. So then it kind of takes Space Marines off the table for me, you know. But like the Lumineth were fun. They're enough different, you know. But the thing with painting them in a week is I tried to find ways to make every unit similar so that the color scheme was quick to implement.
Yeah.
So again, it just shows you that it could be one or the other, even with the same artist. I think that people that say, hey, I need every unit to be different would find themselves in a situation where they try to find a way to make it the same to speed it up sometimes. So I think it's really just attack every project in front of you with what you need that project to be for you. And if it just needs to be a palette cleanser, you just need to put some paint down on the model and have fun with it, and you don't care where it ends up, let it be that. Don't feel stressed about it. Right? If you just want to practice non-metallic metal on a model and then not like it or like it at the end of it and throw it away, fine, go. Do it. Don't feel bad about it. Yep. Spatsnat says, why I say no to the rare occasion people ask if I would do a commission work on models. Yeah. It's tough. Definitely tough.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's 3:59 p.m.
Can you add Jason won a Golden Demon to stream bingo? I won a Demon and a Forge World Best of Show the same year. It was the year 2000. I want to say it was 2005. I'm in the Golden Demon Compendium. I think it was 2005. It was the year that Tom Shadle won the Slayer Sword at Games Day LA. I will always remember that because Tom and I were talking painting, and I was like, yeah, I go, I know you won a Slayer Sword. I said, the highest I ever got was Forge World Best of Show. And he goes, I know. That was the year I won my Slayer Sword. Tom is so smug.
Yeah.
He's so smug. He's really good. Without having an immense amount of ego, he's very, I know that I bested you that year.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
That's so funny.
You're closing in on 5,000 points of Dark Angels. That's amazing. ADHD Painters Unite tomorrow. Squirrel. Squirrel. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. That was a good way to end it. I hope that was a little bit of inspiration. Just pick up your brush and start painting. Find a model that really gets you jazzed and don't care about the outcome. Just start trying stuff, right? Knock the rust off. Remember why you got into this hobby and why you love it. Painting is good for the soul. So thank you so much, everybody. Thanks if you're new around here. If you came through on one of the raids, thanks for spending some time with us. We are Monument Hobbies with the manufacturers of Pro Acrylic Paint and Pro Series brushes, the Go Bag Evo, Jen's Drunken Brush Scoop, all that amazing stuff. You can find the links that Gabe put up on the chat there for monumenthobbies.com for our store. The FLGS link will take you to our global store finder where you can locate local gaming stores closer to your area around the globe where you can purchase our products as well as other things, help them keep the lights on. They provide an amazing environment for you to go make friends, play games, hang out, paint, do all the cool stuff. Absolutely. Make sure to check out the Discord where, as according to Ghost Hunter, there's 5,736 amazing artists in the Discord who are glad that Christmas Sushi finally left to go on vacation so that Gabe could be the better producer.
Dang.
I read that out loud.
Dang.
Well, Chris already said he's gone, so...
That's on the internet forever.
That's on the internet forever. Well, he shouldn't have left.
He shouldn't have left.
You know? So to heck with that guy. Gets what he deserves.
Yeah.
Hot single gaming stores near you, yes. Yes, they're good for relationship making. Stick around. We're going to find somebody to raid. Hopefully you get some good hobby content as you go off into your evening. Make sure to press the follow button and share some love over there. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here. We stream Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., but we won't be here tomorrow. We're taking the day off. Gabe is off. Chris is off. I don't have a producer, so we'll be back here on Monday with me and Gabe again for more Lord Bzzzt. So you have a long weekend without us. Enjoy your Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll catch you back here on Monday, gang. Adios. We're out of here.
See ya.